Hey guys, this is White Sheep,
and Hybrid 0027.
and we are bringing you the next edition of Comic Book Versus with Green Arrow versus Hawkeye.
Yes.
And I'm going to take Hawkeye, and...
I'll take Green Arrow.
Alright, and so, let's just get right into it. Hawkeye, his real name's Clinton Francis Barton, or Clint Barton, as he's more commonly referred to. He's going to be seen in the upcoming Avengers movie, played by Jeremy Renner, who also, you might have seen in Mission Impossible 4 and will be playing the next protagonist in the Jason Bourne series. But, a little bit about Hawkeye. He was orphaned at a young age, and he loved superheroes, and he saw Iron Man fighting one time, and he really liked how Iron Man fought, and he was just in awe, and so he decided to design his costume to be colorful and take his archery and marksman skills and put them to the test. Unfortunately, he was, people thought he was a villain because of how he looked, and he was mistaken for a thief, and so, he got on the wrong side of the law. And eventually he runs around for a little bit and eventually gets recruited to be the partner of Black Widow, who he ends up having some romantic entanglements with. And, all that aside, he eventually joins the Avengers, who he drops in and out of for several years. And but I guess in recent incarnations, he's been part of the Avengers. He briefly wielded Captain America's shield following his Captain America's assassination, before being convinced that it wouldn't be right by the young superhero Patriot. And, many times he's tried to start his own solo career, hasn't really worked. So, he's a on-again, off-again member of the Avengers. But also he tried to start the West Coast Avengers, which is another big point in his career, was he would chair the West Coast Avengers, which ended up, not working out too well. And I guess just some more stats about him. He is a master archer, an expert martial artist, a master marksman, an expert acrobat, a skilled tactician, and he has high weapons proficiency. And he sometimes he does wear padded and bulletproof armor. He briefly wore a suit designed by Tony Stark that was impenetrable. And when he was Ronin, because he was Ronin for a little bit, but when he was Ronin, he also wore a suit that would allow him to blend into the shadows. And he uses his own custom bows and arrows. And, when you look at the stats on him, if you ever go to the Marvel Wikia or the Marvel Wikia, or you ever go to something like that, they have, they have their power rankings, and he doesn't rank very high on the power rankings at all. Really, he's more of a kind of, not to knock him or anything, he's more of a background member of the Avengers. Doesn't get a lot of love a lot of times, even despite his great bow skill. And I think that's one of their flaws. The flaws of their system is that he's kind of undervalued just because they don't have kind of, a setting for people like him. He's like their rankings are, intelligence, strength, speed, durability, energy projection, and fighting skills. And he ranks the highest in fighting skills. While, nothing about this does it say, intelligence. He's not particularly intelligent, definitely so. That's what he is. He's not like, I guess, Red Tornado or anything, where he's like a supercomputer. He's not the Hulk, so he's not up there in strength. He's not Quicksilver. He's not up there in speed, or durability, or energy projection, or anything like this. But I think that's the flaw in the system, is they don't really have anything on that power, as they call it, the power grid, for someone that's proficient and knows how to survive. And I think that's why this is a really good matchup, Green Arrow versus Hawkeye, because they themselves are, I guess, kind of undervalued. When you look at some of the big name superheroes, they're the underdogs. They're overshadowed by people like Cap, Iron Man, Superman, and Batman. And the whole system that's been set up for judging these heroes kind of fails them a little bit, because there's nothing in this, especially this power grid system, for survival or how you can make do with what you have. Yeah, that's a little point that I wanted to introduce there. And my little pitch to you as to why Hawkeye would win. I think just they are very similar characters, and some of these characters were designed around the same time to counter one another, and I think this is one of those cases. But he's a master archer and marksman, expert acrobat, an expert fighter, and skilled tactician, a lot like Green Arrow. And both of them kind of very witty. So if you ever watch any of the cartoons, both of them can be some pretty funny guys. I think this would be an evenly matched setup, and once again, like a lot of our previous battles, I think this would have a lot to do with when and where the fight took place. And that's the last thought I'd like to leave you with. I mean, I think it would be fought to a draw. Both of them would run out of arrows. And now to hybrid with Green Arrow.
Alright, so with Green Arrow and everything, real name Oliver Queen, kind of origin, he comes from a very rich family. He's one of the, what I call the trinity of the rich boys in DC Universe, which is, you got Batman, you got Green Arrow, and then, you got that one other guy I just can't ever remember until I see his face. But, yeah. Possibly. But, anyways, moving on from that, he comes from a rich family. Even as a young child, he always, played with, toy bows and arrows. And, he's a very, huge fan of the Robin Hood series, Robin Hood books, Robin Hood toys, Robin Hood movies, costumes, all that stuff, which is a good reason, or at least a good reason for why he looks so much like Robin Hood and is constantly called that by accident when a person looks at him for the first time in a comic book. And so basically a little origin on him is, as a kid, all the things I said, rich family, he seems like a natural when it comes to bows and arrows. And then but one day he kind of got traumatized when he killed the animal with the bow, and he shot it, and his parents told him it's all right and everything, but that as a kid and everything, he didn't really understand probably the whole circle of life thing. So it was traumatizing for him. He just killed something. And so later on in his life, him and his parents are in Africa, and a lion, I believe it was, mauls his parents pretty much. And his kind of trauma from when he was younger keeps him from killing the lion and possibly saving his parents. And later on, when that happens, he lives with his uncle, and later on inherits his family's fortune, becomes kind of like how the Green Hornet was in the Green Hornet movie. This party rich boy who just parties all day, gets drunk, and has sex all the time, all those things. Stereotypical rich boy back then, in those days at least, when he was first created. And one day he's on his boat in the ocean, and he falls off of the boat and ends up on this island called Starfish Island. And there, with a bow and arrow, he that's where he became as quoted a man. As he learned how to hunt, he learned how to provide for himself, survive. Like White Sheep mentioned earlier, these Hawkeye and Green Arrow, they're like the survivors, really, and the underdogs, because the things they've been through, it really shows how, White Sheep made a great point. The power ratings, they don't really have anything for these people. The power ratings seem to be really made for people like Superman and Hulk and Iron Man, people that explicitly have those abilities. So it's hard to put these two characters in there, yet they still do, and we get what we get out of it. So, but while on Starfish Island, Green Arrow, he witnesses kind of like a drug thing going on, and that's where he's first a hero, really. And he stops that. Eventually he goes back to Star City, where he's from, his hometown, and he decides to be a superhero. He decides to be a hero, and so that's kind of how Green Arrow got started. And one thing that really makes the two characters similar is yes, they're both like the bowmen of their universes, but at the same time, these two have been various times called like villains, thieves, crooks, all those things. People misjudge them, especially Green Arrow, because he has a really hard time with killing. That's a very traumatizing issue for him. Like, he's accidentally killed people, purposely killed people, and that's put him on various sides of the law and with heroes as well, especially people like Batman and Superman, who are very, 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 as you could say, anal on the whole killing thing. So, yeah, going on to his abilities and skills, as he has no powers. He's a master martial artist, master archer, master marksman, skilled acrobat, skilled aviator, and he's also in peak human conditioning. And basically what that is saying is, if he gets into a fight, like, he's been trained by people like Batman, Wildcat, the premier fighters of DC Universe, especially on the hero side. So he could he could do a hand-to-hand combat, and he would most likely be able to best Hawkeye if it were hand-to-hand combat. But he's also a master archer and master marksman. He's shown he has proven himself as a very good archer, if not the best or second the best in his universe. Same with Hawkeye, and it's to the point he's so good that it's been questioned if he actually is like a superhuman being, because he's so spot on. It's it's hard for a lot of heroes to believe it, and a lot of fans of the series to believe that this guy has no powers. It's just pure training and dedication.
And it's the same with Hawkeye. So
yeah, same with Hawkeye. But he's also a skilled acrobat. Not as skilled as Hawkeye, obviously, as Hawkeye grew up in a circus. So while Green Arrow might be able to do a front flip, Hawkeye will be able to do like 2 front flips, or maybe more. So that fits in as well, especially when it comes to agility and things like that.
Hawkeye also probably wins in breakdancing. Just throwing it out there.
Breakdancing. But yeah,
if
and
the fight
also
should come to that.
Hawkeye Green Arrow being the rich boy he is, he had a plane. He actually probably still has a plane. But he used to fly that plane as well, which made him a very skilled aviator. And it probably helped with his long distance perception as when he's an archer, and vice versa. And that really shows he has the patience, he has the knowledge. He's a pretty smart person if he can fly a plane by himself too. So that says a lot about the character, even if it's just one word or 2 words. And he's also in peak human conditioning, which essentially means he can lift at least like double his own body weight. I think it's like about 320 pounds, something like that. So he probably weighs 160-ish without his gear, I'm guessing. And yeah, so hand-to-hand combat wise, he'd most likely beat Hawkeye.
I agree.
So
however, that would depend if it's hand-to-hand, or are we using, because hand-to-hand, who knows? But I will give you probably Green Arrow would probably beat Hawkeye hand-to-hand. But I mean, if we're talking, as soon as we get to tools, you've got to remember that Hawkeye was Ronin, and Ronin has a badass sword.
Whoa.
I guess the computer thinks I made a good point.
Yeah. But like fist to fist.
Yes, fist to fist. That would be a very tough fight, just as a bow to bow fight. But I think Green Arrow might come out on top in the fist to fist.
Yes. And equipment Green Arrow has very similar to Hawkeye. He has custom bows and arrows for different scenarios that might occur. Like, he has a grappling one, an explosive one, a freezing one that probably can like turn to acid somehow. He's rich. He has the he has the ability to get the supply for his demand.
He's the Bruce Wayne of archers.
Yes. And also he carries a katana with him. He kind of picked that up when he was surviving on Starfish Island and everything, as obviously a bow will obviously run out of arrows eventually, so you kind of have to go with the handy sword one day. So with that, hand-to-hand wise, Green Arrow would most likely win without any weapons for the hand-to-hand combat. Nice point, White Sheep. but with weapons like a sword or something like that, or like a dagger, axe, things like those, Hawkeye would most likely win, as he was Ronin for a while. And as Ronin, he didn't carry his bow and arrow. He had a sword, katana sword. You know, he had the shuriken. He was basically like a stereotypical ninja.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much. And to the point where he was actually able to, like, you know, fight Captain America, you know, and actually kind of keep up with him. Like, obviously Captain America ended up winning, but just being able to keep up with Captain America says a lot about your skill.
Also, the fact that he was at one point, and that point would be at the death of Captain America, he was one of the few chosen by S.H.I.E.L.D. to possibly be a replacement for Captain America. So,
yes, and also, you know, it really comes down to, as White Sheep said, location. Like, if they're in a confined space, Green Arrow would have the advantage. If they're in a more open space, like if we're talking here, them versus each other, let's say, kind of contest on who's a better archer, I'd say Green Arrow would probably win, as his eyesight and everything is so perfect. It's been said that he has possibly superhuman eyesight and, you know, perception with that. As I mentioned earlier, with his aviation skills, they help each other out and everything. So, you know, I think long distance, medium distance accuracy, he'd probably get it. Precision wise though, I'd give it to most likely Hawkeye. And the reason I say that is because you know, Hawkeye he's that guy who always like pulls off those last minute shots at the very narrow places.
In the wake of the Duke UNC game, we will call him Austin Rivers.
Yes. And sorry, he's a little butthurt over it.
I am. I'm a Carolina fan. Go Tar Heels.
But an example of Hawkeye's very good precision / accuracy as well is one time, you know, they had to shoot a missile coming down at a pinpoint like spot. You know, it's always that near impossible scenario, and to cause it to blow up in the atmosphere instead of when it gets too, I guess, close to the
detonated
city.
In time.
Yes, he pulls that off, and then when asked about it later, he says it was no sweat. While everybody else was like freaking out about it, he's just, you know, chilling. But yeah, but also you gotta come with this. You know, a lot of people misconstrued, so to speak, our series. This is not a series for, you know, them trying to kill each other. This is a series on stats. We're comparing their stats. We're seeing who could best who with their stats that have been given to them.
It's a little bit like an episode of Dragon Ball Z. If you look at Goku, he never wants to, and this is just complete nerdiness, but if you look at Goku, he never wants to fight someone to kill someone. He wants to fight someone to prove that he's the better fighter. Let's imagine that this is a perfect world and they're meeting up in a fighting tournament. Let's go with that. So, I mean, on neutral ground, just let him go at it. And I guess that about wraps it up, doesn't it?
Well, we have to do a few announcements.
Oh, we do. Announcements.
Somewhat. Thanks to all the new subscribers. We've gotten a huge boost, especially since the Avengers and Amazing Spider-Man trailer breakdowns, which, oh my god, I had the biggest nerdgasm with. Whew.
Yeah. I started my own kind of breakdown of the Aliens. I never got around to finishing it, but I think I'm going to pursue that a little more this upcoming weekend.
Yes.
But, you know, I don't know. And also, like, if you go check out comicbookmovie.com, they're great. Hybrid writes a lot of editorials there. I'm trying to get in to start, you know, writing a couple. My series of editorials will be called White Sheep's Wisdom. Look out for it. I went for the alliteration there a little bit, but, you know. So I guess any more announcements?
But just like thanks for, you know, commenting, liking, subscribing, all those great things. And let's see, I think either the next comic book versus or the one after that, we might try to incorporate the new 52 version of the DC characters, because right now we aren't. We're incorporating the
classic
DCNU ones as there's not a lot of issues still out yet on like various characters, so it wouldn't feel right to, you know, compare a character who might have totally new stats now to a character who, you know, might have 20 years worth of stats. So you know, that's a reason why, if you're wondering why we're not doing DCNU against, you know, what's out now, that's why.
And I think we also have to announce the winner of the last matchup.
Yeah.
I believe it was Nightwing.
Nightwing? Was it? Let's see. Well,
the one vote was Nightwing.
Yeah, we got one vote from Guitar 90s Boy Son saying Nightwing for the win, all caps. So
if we had something to give away, we would give it to you, sir, for being the sole voter. So yes, one vote can change everything, you know, if you might happen to be the only person voting. I guess that's all for the show?
Yeah, I think we've ranted long enough.
Yes, we have.
So
we are into the 21st minute.
Yes.
All right. But thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, do your thing. If you like what's here, check out Hybrid's other videos, the trailer breakdowns, comic book talk, comic book buzz, etc. Also check out comicbookmovie.com for more editorials and stuff from fans just like you and me. Also, remember to vote. We don't want to see one vote. We want to see multiple. Please. I guess, you know, Valentine's Day gift for us. Vote. I guess our next video will be next week, announcing the next matchup.
Yes, and Comic Book Buzz might come out next week, and you'll actually be able to see what it is instead of a link that says coming soon.
And hopefully before next week, I will have an editorial up.
Alright, so thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.